Hey, everybody, welcome to the Dutchman's Wood Shack. Well, today, or this afternoon, I should say, it's Friday afternoon. It's Freaky Far Out Fun Friday. So, or Free For All Friday in this case. And today I'm doing all kinds of stuff. I was working on the table. It's in the finishing room right here. I had to go back over a couple of things, so it's on delay a little bit. And I don't think I'm going to show it until it's actually done. So, thanks to my neighbor, he got me a piece of brass, so I can use this instead of the aluminum if I want. The other thing I'm doing is working on hand planes. This happens to be a Craftsman, and I think it's a 32, it's 1932 hand plane. And it was kind of beat up a little bit. Right now, what I'm doing is just basically cleaning this stuff out on the wire wheel. And this, I'm probably just going to sand this a little bit, just a touch up on my drill press, and probably reseal it again. I'm looking forward to seeing what it looks like. Um, and a lot of the older ones had brass in it, a lot of brass in it. So cleaning the brass sometimes can be a pain. I do have Brasso, um, but this time of year, everybody's making snowmen and Christmas trees. Well, this is just a simple snowman. I've got to do a little bit more work on it. The only reason I haven't is because I have my lathe going, but this is going to be hollowed out a little bit, and so is this, indented, and I'm probably going to I might cut the head, I don't know. If I hollow this out enough, I might be able to set it on here the way I want it, and this is out of a arborvitae, believe it or not. It's a branch off of an arborvitae. But it's just something simple. It's not a big deal. I'll put face, I did an offset one. I'll do a face on here, um, and a scarf and all that, and then buttons. And then I got this. This is a Christmas tree I made out of resin. It's actually sawdust in here, and a little color. It kind of come out kind of funky, like, I don't know. But anyway, it's I've got a bunch of them out that I'm selling. Hey, how's it going? Welcome to the Dutchman's Wood Shack. Thank you for watching. So, hey guys, how you doing? So, if you're ever gonna do resin work, I could give you a list of things a mile long, more problems than it's worth. Then, yeah, I don't know. So, anyway, so today I thought I'd show you a couple of things. One is I'm working on that. I'm working on the train in my train set, and I'm also working on how to make a Christmas tree. So I'll start off. First off, I look at this branch and I go, okay. So I bought it actually. It was at a wood store, Batavia Hardwoods. If you're in Batavia, Illinois, or Fox Valley River area, good place to go buy wood. But you call ahead. They only take appointments on the weekdays, and on the weekends they're open probably till noon, I think. But anyway, when I look at it, it's a piece of birch. I go, okay, so this might look good. It could be a snowman too. It'd be fat one, short, fat one, right? But I kind of like the way the bottom is offset. It's a little wider here than it is here. Plus it curves. Now here's the thing about doing stuff like this. You see how close that is there, and then how far away that is. So it'll offset when your cuts, like I did here. So that's the farther away one, which is the back side of this, and this is the close one, which is the front side. So you kind of have to play with your tool rest and your tools before you start doing it. Now the idea is, if you got something on your head, try and play with it. Now I like to change things around when I can. So I might get halfway through this and say, oh, I don't like the way it is, and change it. So that's what I'm going to do now. So my whole idea is to start off right here, and make a groove. Now I'll probably make it up to here. There's a one, and the top one might be a little bit. The idea is to make the top pointy so that I could put a star on the top of it. That's what the other one, the Christmas tree I made was is missing. I'll show you here in a minute. All right, so this is what it kind of looks like, some of it. So what I got here is I just made a little Christmas tree, and yeah, it's split a little bit, but that's the nature of the beast, and people like them. Then you can do the same thing with making snowmen. Now, there's a lot of people out there making snowmen. All right, I like to make mine a little bit different than everybody else. So this is out of a pear tree. So the top and bottom are basically the same, out of the same tree, but the log that I used had different. There's two different logs, but the same tree, two different looks on it. So that's kind of what I do. By the way, these are for sale too. So this one here is 24 bucks, and that's 24 bucks. Okay, so um, it takes me a little bit of time to do it, and then these I take and I drill the head out inside, and I put a screw in there so you can unscrew it and put it, stuff like that. So I price my stuff reasonable. I like to get creative too, so there's a lot of people out there that turn snowmen and Christmas trees. So whatever your like is, go for it. And if you're a turner, try one. Just pick a branch up. Make sure first that it's green, not green, because the problem I had lately is that a lot of the wood I got was green. Even though it's a year old, it's still split. Okay, so now when I do this stuff, I get kind of carried away with myself. I love doing this. It's simple, all right? For you guys that are not turners, it looks like it's kind of hard. It's not really hard. It's like turning a pen. I don't know what the big fascination about doing pens is, but I could do a pen in 10 minutes. I took a class in this, and my friend Marie, she used to be the club president. I belong to the Windy City Turners, okay? So, um, and I do a lot of pen symposiums, or I go to them anyway. They're full of really good knowledge. But I like how much people are selling their pens for, 30, 40, 50 bucks. You know how long I can take, you know how long it takes to make a pen? I actually did it here when I got home. It took me 5 minutes, or maybe 10, to do the wood piece. Now, here's the catch. Those little, when you buy the kits that they sell you are probably 15 bucks. So, yeah, if you're not selling a pen for 25 to 50 bucks, yeah, you're out money. So, anyway, okay, so I'm going to start off like this right now. Make sure everything is tight. Now, as I was telling you, see how the difference is between the long and the short, about how close you are and how close you're not? So you could change that. You can change that by doing this. And make your tool rest closer. Closer. Okay, so You see the green on that? Pretty cool, huh? See, now I like to use different tools. I don't normally use. Some of the guys will use like a bowl, regular bowl gouge, but I'm not into that. I like to do something different. So now it's feathering itself out, which is fine. And this isn't this far off of a tree, so I want to just do a little bit more. Um, Now I have these smaller tools. The only problem with these, they're kind of hard to sharpen. So for all you guys that are watching that haven't subscribed, please subscribe. And I want to say thank you to my WRMN listeners that listen to the guys at the afternoon and in the morning, Marky B and Solar and those guys in the afternoon. And all the stuff in between. That's radio stations, an AM radio station, 1410 in out of Elgin, and great place. Um, they have a new setup, a new format there. And, Marky B is the one who set up a new programming in there, so it's really looking good. And let's see who else. All the people in the past that have watched me, some have bailed on me, of course, but one thing you're going to find out about me is I'm not going to charge people for watching me. I do not. Don't push the join button because then you got to add money to it. And I don't collect. Okay, so I'm not part of that thing, and I never will be. So it's there free. Everything I tell you is free, and of course I'm going to be. I'm going to say okay. I'm not an expert in anything. Okay, so. Now, the only thing wrong with this is it's kind of punky. You see that? You see that? So sometimes you have to come back and finish it off with something smoother. Um, okay, so it's a little rough in here, which is not a big deal because it usually ends up. What will happen is I'll probably sand it on the drill press. Now you got to figure out how far you up we're going to go this one. So you're going to have three, right? So probably a small ring, about like a half inch, 3/4 inch, 5 inch or something. So I'll do it this way. Now, as I'm doing this, boy, look at the hole in there. Look at that. Termites probably, but that makes the characteristic. Now, if you want to get real picky, you can fill that up with Gorilla Glue or something, clear. But I like it like that. So now what I'll do is I'll get a little bit more tight with this. And what I want to do is put more of an indentation this way. No, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. See? But the idea is you want to curve this a little bit. You know, it's just an oddball Christmas tree. Now the idea from here down to here is a problem for me sometimes. I'll start here, but when I get down to this tip here, it might be I'm too chicken to go real small. Because I know guys out there will do tenons or finials, and I've yet to get that down with a branch like this, and it's not really like processed wood through a wood factory, sawmill or something. If this was pine, like a 2x4, I could probably do it, but there's too many variables in this, and plus it's really punky. So the reason you see a lot of the color discoloration in this is because it's basically spalting, which means it's rotting. It's doing the decaying thing. So anybody that knows forestry will know this. All right. Whoa, we gotta use this again. Now I'm getting down to, you see the grain in this? And plus there's, See, that's the thing when you're doing stuff like this. You got to be careful of fractures and whatnot, you know. So as I'm doing this, I'm keeping an eye. But see, I can see when I'm looking this way, I'm not putting a lot of pressure on there either. So it's actually working pretty good. My tool needs, even though my tool's a little bit dull, it's not bad. It's not bad. So it's rough, but being smooth, it's not going to be that much difference between a really sharp tool and what I got now. Unfortunately, um, it takes a lot longer for me to sharpen tools than I got time for. So you see how it's split? You see, this is where you got to stop a little bit because I can form that up. Um, but there's no, it's because it's offset right there. You got to be careful. So what I usually do is I take it over on the drill press and work on it. But now the trick of it is, and you could do it too sanding, but see, it's not a clean job. This is not bad compared. I mean, usually I have sawdust everywhere. That's why I call it Sawdustville, USA. I should have my own zip code. Now the trick of it is sanding. Okay, so I got some different sandpaper here that I'm going to use. Now a lot of times I can do it here too, and try and form that. And one thing I got to do is turn this on. I usually wear a respirator, but my respirator's broken, unfortunately. But see, what happens is you get this sanded down. There is pits there, but you got to be careful with the bark. You want to keep the bark on. You got to barely touch it. See, now that'll shine up pretty good, right? Oddball color. You know, when I get this down on the drill press, it'll look better. But that's the one thing you got to be careful of is the splits. Now, that's what happens when you have weak wood. Anybody listening there? Wave, give me a shout. Give me a shout out there. Now the trick of it here, you might have to spend a little bit more time sanding because of the cracks in there. But I like river birch because it doesn't have a tendency to fall out. Stuff doesn't have a tendency to fall off on it as much. Normally when I do a bark bowl, a river birch bark bowl, I'll take a duct tape, and not duct tape, but painter's tape, and it's bark so that it didn't fly off. So, what do you guys think? Any questions, comments? I want to see if I can pass them. You guys pass me around too, please. I'd love it, you know. Huh. Interesting. Well, it doesn't seem to be one. I can't pass. I don't think I can pass you guys on. Let me see. Oh, hey, Roman, no problem. Thank you. Jenny, who else is on here? Um, there's a lot. I know there's a lot of guys. There's a lot of people on YouTube. Um, I'm just a little guy. I do sell these things at arts and craft shows and out of here. But I'm a small potatoes. I'm a retired contractor, so I'm not really. I do custom making furniture too, so I mean. But my big thing is I like to do shop tours too. Whenever I go traveling, which I do quite often, I like to make it a point to stop by other people's shops. Um, it just so happens, I want to say 6 months ago as I was in Europe. Last year I was in Europe. I went to a couple of shops there. Um, when I'm in Hawaii, I go over there too. There's a guy named Kelly Denny, or Kelly, yeah. He does a lot of work, and he's really good at his turnings. And so he's up in a town called Hawaii, in the northern part of the Big Island. So I also go to the Hawaii Turners, Dakota Turners, I think it is. I belong to the Windy City Turners, and I belong to. I got a group of the Chicago Turners, and we all a bunch of big happy family. But you learn a lot from people like on here. Cindy Drozda, she's on now. I think she's live, and she's a turner, and she does great work. Keith with if you want, Holly Denny is another one. Holly Denny does a lot of Christmas stuff. Check it out. Her snowmen are excellent. There's way different than when I do mine, but they're all good. So you have to check out Holly Denny too. Um, Appalachian Heritage Wood Shop is another one. He's Gerald, my good friend Gerald. I just got back from him about a month ago. Visited him up in West Virginia, and they made some stuff. I posted it on here in his shop. He's got a big shop, and he does a lot of stuff. He's more into doing joinery and Appalachian type furniture. But he's really good instructor to listen to. You'll learn a lot of stuff from the guy. So if you ever get him and he's doing videos on there, check him out. I highly recommend them. And there's guys around here that I know that do it, but I don't want to say I'm an expert. I just do. I just turn it, you know. The one thing I can tell people when they get started in this is to learn the basic tools And then after that, it's whatever you want to do. I mean, you don't have to be like everybody else. I don't like it. You make what you feel comfortable making. Don't let anybody else tell you. The biggest problem I had was, well, how come I don't listen to it? Or how come we don't do that? Because I don't want to. I mean, I'm an adult. You were talking to me like I was a kid. I said, no, no, no. So, my mind, uh, I'll just say this. When I was a kid growing up, I had a hard time learning stuff, right? Uh, anyway, the long and short of it, every time I wanted to learn something, it took forever to get, like my math. I was terrible at math, right? So my teacher that was a math, he didn't want to spend time because he looks at the 10% that are going to go on to be math majors or whatever. And I was like the back end of the 10%. And I never got the kind of education from them. But, I learned self-taught. I'm a contractor 40 years, plus years. And everything I've done is either pretty much self-taught or I learned by copying somebody else. And there was people that would teach me. Actually, I actually learned to teach the trades from a guy named Chuck Jones back in the 70s, way back in the 70s, back in the dark ages. Um, Unfortunately, Chuck's not around. He'd be like over 100, I think, by now. But Chuck allowed me to do a lot of things without any experience, and he just showed me how to do it. I went and did it. There you go. But anyway, what I wanted to say was, hang on a second. What I wanted to say was, I got all these different sanding tools. Don't know if it's a lot better or not. Whenever you're learning anything, even when you're learning furniture, um, there's all these kind of things you can learn from the internet. I like to have a day where I call it like pizza night. Like now Friday night, a lot of people like to go out and stuff and eat dinner from a long hard day work week. Um, so I like to go like pizza, beer, and dust. You know. Speaking of dust, right here you go. Here's the election being over. So now we can listen to the other side bitch for a while. So the one thing I can tell you is that whenever you're doing something new, I always tend to sit there and plan it out. Okay, so I just got through making a table, and it's still, I mean, in the working stage, but I've got 2/3. It's about 80% done, and I'll show you here in a minute. Okay, so this is the table I was working on right here. I'd bring it out, but it's in the drying room right now, so it's too wet still. But the thing I altered in this was this top part in the middle. I don't have the capability to turn this motor around and doing that on the outside. The guys that have a big lathe can do that. I can't do that. But I got to thinking, I don't like the way that top looks. So basically, it's flat in the middle. I mean, it's flat all the way across. But and then I took this and I did the same thing and I beveled it. And in the process of doing stuff, there's a couple of things you want to learn. Okay, so it's been a while since I did joinery. You know, that's finger joining, or it's mortise and tenon, or dovetail. Well, this one I had to do dowels with. But when you're doing this, see, he's got the square tops. I had a little bit more rounded tops, and there's a little bit smaller legs at this. But I ended up, the big idea with me was I was afraid that I was going to make it too small. You know, spindly little legs. So, and these are probably a lot bigger than the ones, thicker ones than I have now. Although, if you look at the measurements, they're not that far away. But the point is, I took recycled oak wood flooring for this. And the idea is to recycle the wood. Now you can make stuff like this. And I tell you, when you go through these woodworking magazines, there's all kinds of stuff. You even learn about your tools. I mean, different kinds of tools. I've got all the literature. If you ever want to know, just ask me and I'll tell you. Um, but I saved the articles out of them, and I go, okay, so you want to make something. So here's something I just saw that a lot of people see. That would be a fun project to make. It's turned. You know, so no, I've done it, never done anything like this, right? So you would have to go and check the article out and see where these people do it, and then kind of see if they have a site that a website or something where you can watch it, and then you talk to them, and that's the idea. I always ask questions. All right, always ask questions. But you can always, I mean, some of these magazines, sure, there's a lot of stuff in there, but there's always a lot of good stuff to do. I mean, some of these guys can make some excellent work. But it's like this. See, this guy is finding out stuff. He's carving in it. Now, I do carving, but I haven't done very much of it in the past, so I'm going to start doing it in the bowls I make. I've got a couple that I'm making right now, so we'll see how that goes. But with this, you know, it's then now you just want to fine tune it, you know, and then what I'll do is I'll seal it. Yeah, I'll seal this with a sealer. Sometimes it takes you a little bit longer for me to do the top parts, and I'm afraid that I'm gonna rip it if see, that's not bad. That's not bad. It's a little bit more than I wanted to put on here, but hey. So you get this to a certain point, and then what you do is you could do like I showed you. You put a Christmas, you put take a scroll saw or bandsaw, and cut out a star, and that's how you got yourself a Christmas tree. It's some bizarre wood, isn't it? Look at that. It's just weird. I don't know. When you look at the bottom, that's what it kind of looks like. But you never know what you're going to turn out with. There was no idea that I was going to have holes in there from termites or something. You know, that's kind of unique too. So I'm going to go over here real quick. There's a little bit of a trick too. You want to do this. Now I think I got about 80 grit on here now. So this is where you got to be really kind of careful if you're trying to make a point. You don't want to make it look stubby. And the only reason I'm not doing it on the lathe right now is because I was too afraid it was going to split it more because it was looking like it was going to split anymore. Normally I would go right here and go a little deeper. Okay, so that's what the Christmas tree looks like. See that? Now you put, I don't know if you put a star on the end of that. I don't know if I'm going to star. Oh yeah. Here's another one I did. Here's another one I did on walnut. So short story stars. Now that's kind of a piece of pine. It's a little bit too big for me, but I like to make them a little smaller. But yeah, so you get simple stuff. Now you can put a lot if you really get creative. I've done this before, where you take and you can make the star. It's like a shooting star where it has a little top on it, or you can make, how they had the heads for the Christmas tree, they're rounded. You can make those. It's like a finial, what they call a finial. Um, but yeah, see, that's how you do something like that. And what's kind of cool is it's like this. I could do a little bit more on this hat. I can't do much, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and carve a little bit of a hole. I don't know if I can do it with this, we'll see. You see, nope. You see how I did that carve there? So you've got a little bit, so all I'll do is I'll take and I'll put that over there and I'll grind this off a little bit. So that'll be the head. I'll get a head up on everything. Ha ha. Alright, so we got a little bit of a grind. I could grind that off a little bit more. But the idea is to set it on here. Yeah, I have to take off a little bit more to the center so that see, because it's still kind of wobbly. So, but I'll use something different to grind that down with because it's kind of really tight in there. I normally would put this in a chuck, but the problem is it'll go off because it's offset. You know, it's oblong like an egg. It won't work. All right. Well, with that, since everybody's left me, and there's a lot of people that are missing, but I'll just say to Connie and Art, thank you. John P. Cozens, thank you. I know he doesn't watch me anymore because I don't think he gets me. I think he blocked me, which is funny. He does a great work. Shay, the Midnight Scroller. I need to write down Russ. Russ is Let's Talk Shop with Russ on Saturdays tomorrow. Usually it's about 7 o'clock Central Time. You catch him on YouTube and Facebook. Gilroy's. Gilroy's he's got his stuff going on. I mean, I've got a list a mile long of people, and all the people again from the local Foxville area. I'm in Geneva, so Illinois. Give me a call, and I appreciate it if you would. I'm going to get off right now. I'll come back on later with I'll be turning a bowl. So you guys have a great night, and I got to take off and go do some stuff. God bless. Thank you. Remember, be creative. Make some sawdust. Thanks again. And God bless America.